Hello, my friends and family. I'm home. I'm here at Camp Glow by the fire, and it's so sweet to be home after such a wonderful and cold trip. I'm just warming up right now, but I wanted to invite you to listen to what God did. He did so much on this last trip to Ukraine, which really was kind of a last minute trip. We decided to go. I decided to go, and Andrew was with me going, but I'm telling you, sometimes when you make these decisions, some obstacles come up. And on the day of our trip, the day I was getting ready to leave, it was quite exciting that morning because we started getting reports that one of the biggest attacks on Kyiv had just happened. That's where I was headed. Electricity was out in the house that I would be staying in, and we had a big decision to make. So we prayed, we sought counsel, we talked to our team in Ukraine. Everyone was like, it's going to be fine. Of course, they're used to this. They're used to these kinds of things happening. And as soon as we said yes, a peace just flooded, and the trip was full of joy and peace. And really, as believers, I hope you're just really encouraged by these kinds of videos for your own walk, your own life, your own ministry, the ways that you are going and loving well, because I feel like I'm just living out one story, and we're all living out so many stories of the way they glow. But in this story, I got God's joy and his peace, which are his kingdom benefits, right away. So I'm going to tell you about our trip. It took about 2 days to get into Ukraine. It flew about 13 hours of flying, three different planes to get there. And then I was met in Poland with Yulia. Yulia is, I call her my Ukrainian bestie. She's one of the leaders of the YWAM Youth of the Mission base in Kyiv, and the head of DTS there, if you're familiar with discipleship training schools. And this girl has always been such a friend and came and made the big journey. Same time I left America, she was leaving Kyiv to come to Poland to get me, and we met, and then we stayed overnight at a hotel in Krakow. So we were met by a driver, traveled 3 hours. So that, just to tell you, it's like not an easy journey. It takes a while because there's no airports, no air, nobody can fly into Ukraine. So we arrive in Kyiv and we're met by our Maxim, and everybody who knows Glow knows Maxim. He's our Babushka Village pastor, and he is such a lover of people, lover of me and us, and just greeted us, helped me with all that luggage up the crazy staircase system and at the train stations in Ukraine. So I was greeted by love, started meeting Sergey's team, and then the next day we were on. So next day started with some appointments. I'll tell you about a little bit later some of the personal appointments I had while I was in Kyiv, but we had some appointments. And then we met up with our grads. Now, the grads are why we started Glow to begin with. It was our group of kids, Deanna, Arthur, all the kids from Emerald City. I met these two brother and sister on the first trip to Ukraine, and I got to be in Arthur's apartment with his wife, Kate. It was just a beautiful time of encounter. They're all ones who've given their lives to the Lord since we started the Glow mission, and it was so great to catch up with their life. And that evening started having some real strategic dinners and times. Sometimes when we go, it's not these big, it's not the big ministry efforts, but it's the small moments of encouragement and talking and having, seeking God's heart of strategy. And that's a lot of that happened on this trip. And it was so beautiful, especially with Elisax, our director of operations over in Ukraine. The next day we were off to the Babushka Village, and this day was awesome. We always love going there, and I got to be there for the dedication, the 6-year anniversary of the church in the Chernobyl region that Maxim has established, and Glow helped in great part to renovate a house to become a church. And what an amazing day. We had some soldiers show up. The Babushkas end up giving their offering to these soldiers. That never happened. One soldier was like crying. They were out of they were low on food and supplies, and it would just bless them. He's like, no one's ever done this for us before. And here, these very poor people are giving all they have to support their soldiers. So it was a beautiful day. So much happened. I got to meet Nadia, a new babushka, to see her firewood. We've been able to give firewood to so many. Every single one. How many was it? We were giving 60 loads of wood. 60 loads of wood have been now delivered in Chernobyl region to these grandmas for them to have their firewood. Loved that day, and being with Maxim's team. So the next day I spent going to church with Sergey, which was actually at our house in Kyiv, and got to share an encouraging word with the team there. And it was Christmas in Ukraine, so I got to take several of my kids to Christmas dinner. Several of my grads that we've worked with for 8 years. I can't tell you what it means to me to be with these guys and see the growth and development. And all of them have served in the Glow Mission and giving humanitarian aid, rebuilding houses, and to get to spend time and celebrate Christmas with them was wonderful. Sasha was delayed because of a breakdown in transportation, so he showed up the next day on the 8th with his wife, Christina. That's right. Sasha got married, and it is like, his story has been a miracle. If you have been all on the journey with me with Sasha, we had an amazing trip, amazing time. It's wonderful to see his growth in the Lord. He's married, he's working with Sergey in the house. So many miraculous things have happened. So got to see him and go to Hostomel Church. And many days of our trip were spent in Hostomel. Now, Hostomel is the city that stopped the invasion of Kyiv and the takeover. It was right there by Bucha and Irpin. It's where many of our small homes have gone in. It's where those first 12 families were invited to lunch by Sergey, and they gave their lives to God. And now there's a church. There's a little church building. When Andrew and I were there in May, it was just a foundation. We dreamed of a children's building going in, and it's there. While we were there, we were able to use the funds given by one giver who gave us a wonderful grant, and we were able to put in a church for children in Hostomel. So now there's a church building. We got to help finish that. We got to put in this children's building, and I got to be there for it. And I got to speak to the people at the church and share my heart for kids, God's heart for kids, how that is what we are to be. We're all His kids, and it was phenomenal to be there. During the trip as well, we visited another small church in Mashun. Mashun is a nearby village that is also established. So all these little churches are coming up. We have Sergey's church, we have the Babushka church, we have the Hostomel church, and these are really just gatherings of people in locations, but God is providing for them to have a facility to meet in. It's turned into like a little humanitarian aid center, a community center, a place where families are growing, and all these little churches, little fathers' houses are popping up for people to gather and grow with each other and their relationship with the Lord. So I want you to know that your giving is what's made this possible, along with the givers from other nations, other people. God's just assembled His people. And in the middle of this war, which is still going on, and I really want you to know this, if you're not in the kingdom mindset, it can look very dismal and very, many Ukrainians feel like their country's going to be gone. Like Russia is going to take over, it's going to be gone, Ukraine will be no more. But in the midst of all of that, beautiful things are happening, and the church is rising, and the kingdom is being established, souls are being saved. And beautiful, just even like one story was that there was an older man and older woman that they were brother and sister and never talked to each other. Both of them lost houses, and the team put in houses for both. And then when the church was established, they were invited, they both came. Well, they hadn't talked in like 10 years. But now they're at this church together, and gradually they started talking, and now they go to each other's homes and they're eating and they're together. And that happened like in the middle of a war because of Christian love, because of people reaching out, because of people loving, and now this family has been restored. So it's one of like many, many stories I've heard what God's doing through the church. Going on in our journey, I got to spend some awesome time with Sasha and Christina, some family time with them, and I got to have a dinner with something I didn't post about, but oh my goodness, I got to have a dinner with Nikolai Kaleba. Now, Nikolai Kaleba is someone I met in 2020, actually the same day I met Sergey, and he was head of children's rights for Ukraine under Zelensky, and he is a Christian man who is all about getting a biblical worldview into the children of Ukraine, and he's used his government position as a beautiful ministry. And so we had dinner with Nikolai. It was really cool because I wanted to see him, but didn't know I had a reason to. Sergey brought up, he's like, I think we should have dinner with Nikolai. It was very strategic. Now, Nikolai is over Save Ukraine. Actually, this is funny, but this is his bracelet. I said at the end of dinner, I said, hey, can I have your bracelet? And so I did take this bracelet from him, and he gave it to me. But Nikolai is actually rescuing children out of Russia. children who've been taken from Ukraine. Thousands and thousands of children have been taken, and they're kind of being reprogrammed, and he is saving children. So you can look up Save Ukraine if that's something that really hits your heart. I love Nikolai, awesome man of God. And he was actually on 60 Minutes not too long ago, a big special on him. And so it was an honor to be able to be with him and have that dinner and time of visioning. We also, the next day, had the orphanage director from our orphanage down in Alexandria, Marina, came. And Marina is over that 30-bed orphanage, and she's amazing. And we got to have a wonderful dinner with Maxime. So I had my head of orphans and head of widows all together, got to pray together, encourage, make some plans, and it was wonderful just to be with her and talk about the work that's going on down in Alexandria. We also got to spend time in Hostomel, so much time there, but one of the highlights for me was getting to see Vanya and Dasha. And Vanya and Dasha are the two kids who got saved when Andrew and I spoke back in May in Hostomel Church. And I told them then, you guys are going to be the leaders of the kids in Hostomel. And guess what? They have been. They took that Jesus Storybook Bible, they've been shared it with their friends. I promised them some Legos because I took the little Lego from his blown up house, and I found it in the dirt before I even met him, and I kept it. And when I met Vanya, I was like, I'm gonna bring you some Legos. So I did. I made good on my promise, and I took these. I took them some Christmas presents. Got to see their house that we've been reconstructing for them, and it was just so wonderful. Then to see them at church. So the next day we went to church. Last Saturday I was there, and I got to speak and share our heart about God and children. The church building was the children's building was delivered over the course of the time I was there, which was amazing. So there's this nice church building for the kids on the land in Hostomel, and a little place for Vanya and Dasha to bring all their kids. And 19 kids showed up to church that day. This little church that was like there was no church there before the war. And as I said, these 12 people came together, got saved, had a house church, and now 70 people were there when I was speaking. 70 people in this church. 19 kids came on stage, and I told them what that building was for. I told them that that building was where they were going to learn to love and encourage each other and grow in God. And I told them what the place wasn't going to be. It wasn't going to be a place where we tore each other down, or it was a place where it was just, I can't even tell you how awesome it was to have that moment with those kids. And I can't wait to take people back and pour into that little church that is a growing, thriving, healthy church in Hostomel. So there's so much more I could say. One of the personal things I was telling you about, I said I would tell you, one of the things I got done personally while I was there is dental work. Yeah, I was like, you know what? I actually went to the dentist, and I'm gonna show you my dentist right here. And it was so cool. When I had to go, when we went to Ukraine to begin with, I had to have dental. I've been blessed with some challenges in my mouth, and I was gonna have to have $20,000 worth of dental work done here, and I got it done for like $2,000 in Ukraine. So I got I don't have holes in my mouth. I got some teeth pulled. I got root canals. So, that was one of the reasons I was like, I could get my dental work done with my dentist. And they were so happy to see me because they're like high level, international class, like people fly from all over the world to get their dental work done. So praise God, I got 2 bridges, a crown, a tooth pulled, and a root canal, and all for like a little over $2,000. So that's my little personal testimony in the middle of all the other things. So that was my trip to Ukraine. The last day I got to go to Sergey's church and be with Sasha and Sasha and Deanna, my girl again. We spent time together, and and Sergey's family. It was just so good to be with people. Sometimes just encouraging, just being with people is what matters most. Just to be able to give a word of encouragement, share some love, and that's what I got to do on this trip. Just go be myself. That's all of us can do. We just go be who we are in our worlds, wherever we are. But I thank you for sending me, for believing in us enough in this mission to support. And I'm telling you, lives were changed. The words of encouragement to Sergey's team, dinners we had, strategic things. I feel parts of God's heart were imparted. We're one body, many parts, and we all need each other. So thank you for loving us. Thank you for loving Ukraine. Thank you for loving these precious people. It's not about politics. It's about love. It's about people and lives for eternity. So thank you. We love you and can't wait to go again. And maybe with some of you, go low as well here and across the world. Bye-bye.